Okay, so this is one of my favourite stories ever, I think. Written over 100 years ago. Times haven't changed much for some of us, have they, ladies? And it's called The Man That Is Going to Mind the House. There was once upon a time a man who was always cross and surly. He was always telling his wife that she didn't do enough work in the house. So one evening in the haymaking time he came home and began to scold and swear all over the house. "Dear me, don't get into such a temper," said the good wife. "Tomorrow we will try to change our work. I'll go with the mowers and mow the hay, and you can stop at home and mind the house." Yes, the husband rather liked that, and he was quite willing for his part. Early next morning the good wife took a scythe on her shoulder and went out into the fields with the hay mowers to mow, but the man was to do the work in the house. He thought he would churn the butter first of all, but when he had churned for a while he became thirsty, and so he went down to the cellar to draw some beer. Whilst he was busy filling the bowl, he heard that the pig had got into the room above. Anyway, he ran up the cellar stairs with the tap in his hands, just to see that the pig didn't upset the butter churn. But when he saw that the pig had already knocked the churn over and stood there licking up the fine cream which was running over the floor, he got so furiously wild that he forgot all about the beer barrel and turned round to the pig. He got hold of it in the doorway and gave it a tremendous smack, and it killed the poor pig on the spot. All at once he remembered the tap he had in his hand, but when he went down into the cellar all the beer had run out of the barrel. He then went into the larder and found cream enough to fill the churn again, and so he commenced churning once more, for butter he would have by dinner time. When he had churned for some time he recollected that the cow, which they kept at home, hadn't been let out of the cow-house, and hadn't had a straw of hay or anything to drink, although it was late in the day. He thought it was too far to take the cow out to the field where she generally grazed, so it struck him he would put her on the roof. The cottage had a turf roof, and this was a splendid crop of grass growing there. The cottage lay close to a steep little hill, and if he placed a plank between this and the roof, he thought he could easily get the cow up there. But he could not leave the churn very well, because the baby was crawling about on the floor, and he thought the child might easily upset it. He took therefore the churn on his back and went out. But he thought he had better water the cow first before he put her on the roof, so he took a bucket to get some water from the well. But as he stooped down to pull the bucket up, all of the cream ran out of the churn all over his neck and down into the well. It would soon be dinner time, and still he hadn't got any butter, so he thought he had better boil the porridge for dinner, and hung a pot with water over the fire. When he had done this, he began to feel afraid that the cow might fall off the roof and break her legs or her neck, so he went up on the roof to tie her up. The one end of the rope he tied round the neck of the cow, and the other end he let down the chimney, and when he got back down he tied it round his legs. The water was boiling already, and he must put the oatmeal in and begin to make the porridge. Whilst he was stirring the porridge, the cow fell off the roof and dragged the man up the chimney by the rope which was tied to his leg. There he stuck, and the cow hung outside against the wall, between heaven and earth, for she could neither get up nor down. The wife had waited in 7 lengths and 7 breadths for her husband to come home and call the people home to dinner, but she saw no sign of him, so she thought at last she would wait no longer and go home. When she saw the cow hanging so awkwardly, she went at once and cut the rope with her scythe, but at the same moment her husband came down the chimney, and when the guide-wife went inside, he was standing on his head in the porridge pot, the silly man. The end. If you've enjoyed my short story today, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you.